are a woman after my own heart. As a fellow naturalized immigrant, I feel so deep.
Oh
I
my
feel
god.
so deeply
I'm gonna
about
have to
this.
balance this out a little
My
bit here.
family and I, we came through JFK Airport. We waited 5 years to get our green card, another 5 years to become citizens. We followed the law to a T. And to see these hordes of people just storming the southern border, completely desecrating everything we believe in. And I want to say something very loud and clear so there's no confusion and so there's no dissension. Law and order, Gavin Newsom, is not escalation. It's law and order. And echoing what Amy said, if you hate our country so much, then please leave. No one's forcing you to stay here. Thank you very much. And I think the most iconic thing about the situation is the chyrons that CNN and MSNBC plays all day long. You see like flumes of fire and smoke behind them, and the words underneath are mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful, keyword mostly. You know,
So from the intro, I want to break down exactly why illegal immigration actually hurts not white people. Sorry, white people. I'm gonna make it racial today. Illegal immigration hurts Hispanics, Asians, right? Black people, right? The minorities of this country, because any day, who's easier to replace? White people will be the last racial demographic to be replaced by mass illegal immigration, right? And the Democrats, right? The demographic change. This is something that Tucker Carlson warned about a while ago. And liberals and leftists disingenuously frame it as white replacement theory. No, 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 no. It's American replacement theory. Because at the end of the day, there's enough population outside of the borders of the United States to replace every single one of us in this country. Africa, for example, is a continent that has 1 billion people. That means if we import Africa or Africa decides, let's just come into America illegally. Let's just send a large swath of people illegally into the United States of America. They can overtake us in 4 years. 4 years. This is what happens when you have unrestricted immigration, right? And this is something that many conservatives try to warn about to Black America. Asians recognize this. This is why a lot of legal migrant citizens are turning to Donald Trump's side on the immigration issue because they realize how much of a threat economically, how much conflicts economically that illegals bring into the market.
Democrats defending them. This moment is a test for the Democratic Party, which has been flailing since losing every swing state and the popular vote to Donald Trump in the 2024 election. The election wasn't a landslide, but polls revealed that the Democrats are hemorrhaging support from the people who were once their strongholds: working class voters, Hispanics, Black men, young people. The Democrats' approval rating is at 27%. And if you needed one image to explain this hemorrhaging of support, it would be the footage of a man wearing a Hamas armband and waving a Mexican flag in front of a burning Waymo. Yet just listen to how Governor Newsom spoke of the protesters and those they were protesting on behalf of.
He's been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back.
Despite the tough act, Newsom isn't opposing Trump. He's opposing the American people. This may look like a cultural debate, but it's really an economic one. Immigration separates the elites, the consumers of low-wage labor, from the working class who illegal migrants compete with for jobs in the service industry or in construction or in janitorial services or other jobs that once paid American workers a living wage and now not so much. That immigration hurts labor was actually the position of progressives until recently. In fact, as recently as 2015, Bernie Sanders was calling open borders a Koch brothers proposal.
What I think they are interested in is seeing a process by which we can bring low-wage labor of all levels into this country to depress wages in America.
Until 1990, many national unions were against immigration on the same grounds. Immigration hurts union labor by importing cheap competition. Fast forward to 2025, and the president of the Service Employees International Union was arrested at the protests in LA and charged with impeding the work of law enforcement. That's quite the 180, and it's inextricably linked with the Democrats' shift from representing labor to representing the credentialed elites. People like the devastated Martha's Vineyard denizens suddenly deprived of their illegal migrant workforce due to an ICE raid. They're not alone. 65% of Americans making over $500,000 a year are Democrats, and many of them have gotten used to the cheap labor. When they speak about immigration, the left likes to talk about compassion or due process, but it is their economic interests that they are representing when they oppose mass deportations.
So I found this interesting debate between Stephen A. Smith and not a debate, but a discussion with Brandon Tatum. And Brandon Tatum talks about how black people ain't replacing themselves. Like if you look at any Democratic policy, in the long term it hurts the black community as a whole. It may benefit certain individuals in the black community, but as a whole it hurts the black community as a whole. For instance, giving black women $10 billion for them to make it in corporate America, but there's nothing for black men. Okay, black women go, yeah, look, we educated, we better than black men, da 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 da. And then when it comes time for marriage, oh my God, I can't find an economically attractive black man. Oh, I can't find an educated black man. Of course, what do you expect? You got $10 billion in investment from Goldman Sachs and all these other corporations to uplift black women, but nothing for your men. And then when there's a disconnect or there's a differences of opportunity between the black man and the black woman, and now the black woman don't find black men economically attractive or educated, you can't scream foul because you didn't advocate for black men, right? And this is the kind of games that Democrats play because they know black women are their most loyal demographic. It's always about politics, right? It's not about compassion or any of this like virtuous stuff that politicians pretend that they're doing. They're not doing these things out of the kindness of their heart. It's always a political angle to it. And I think that's the kind of realism a lot of black conservatives see politics. And the black community does itself a disservice by making fun of black conservatives, calling black conservatives names just because black conservatives differ in their approach in solving the problems that the black communities face. It doesn't help the black community at all. But, you still let black Democrats somehow gaslight y'all into thinking that somehow black conservatives are coons because they point out to you how abortion hurts black people in the long term. It has kept our population small. We're still only 13% of the population. If abortion was banned in the 1970s, the black community would have been the second largest voting bloc in the United States of America if abortion was banned. But now abortion is not banned, and black women are disproportionately the race of women that abort their children the most. Is it no wonder that the black community's population numbers is slower compared to the Hispanics? Hispanics been here less from a historical perspective, and they equal, if not already surpass, our population numbers right now in 2025. Democratic policies had nothing to do with that. Right? Everything, if you look at it from a long-term perspective, everything that Democrats do, all the policies they push, in the long term, it hurts the black community. Welfare, incentivizing women to be single mothers, and then all the negative associations, all the negative correlations with being raised in a single mother household. You're more likely to be poor. You're more likely to be in a bad neighborhood. You're more likely to be a criminal. You're more likely to not finish school. Right? All these negative outcomes associated with single mother household. But what Democrats' policy do? They incentivize you to make that choice. Right? Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. We see the outcomes. Right? And when black conservatives try to bring this to the attention of black communities, say, hey, look, you black communities, 92% of you guys, 88% of you guys in this community vote Democrat. The 12% is trying to warn you, hey, look, this is your blind spot. Look at all these negative outcomes, but you don't want to hear it. You want to call us coons, though. Okay, keep playing. And this conversation kind of epitomizes what happens usually when a black conservative and a somewhat liberal black man, they talk in private. Because I had these conversations before with other black men in private when I was in college and all this stuff. And this is usually how it goes down. They start realizing, damn, I didn't see it that way. Yes, duh, because all you do is listen to Democrats. And just like a salesman, the salesman will never tell you anything bad about their product. It's the same thing I tell black community about the Democratic Party. But I digress. Let's take a look at this conversation.
When you think about open borders and illegal immigrants crossing the borders, ultimately you're alluding to it having a detrimental effect on the black community. Is that your way of saying that you felt the left did that to us that they just disregarded black folks?
Stephen A., they've been giving us the middle finger since I can remember. All the way back from the Ku Klux Klan. They have never supported black people whatsoever. They hoodwinked us into getting us on food stamps and getting us with government assistance, having us to abandon our own success. We had our own bus line. We had our own schools. We had all this stuff.
And here's the funny part: segregation, right? Like, we're going to talk about segregation. Conservatives have a different view of segregation because, at the end of the day, inherently, this is just my thoughts. Black conservatives don't see themselves as powerless or victims, right? We see ourselves as, hey, we are our own saviors. That's usually the black conservatives' perspective. Hey, government do nothing for me, because at the end of the day, conservatives know this. When the government do something for you, there's usually a sacrifice you're making, even if it's not monetarily, even if it's not electoral, like with voting. You're making a sacrifice somewhere, and it's dependence. You become reliant on them. You give them authority over your life. Hey, food stamps, right? Food stamps, for example. Black women say, oh, I want food stamps, food stamps, food stamps. And then RFK decides, you can't buy Cheetos with your food stamps. You can't say nothing. You can't tell RFK nothing because RFK is the one who's paying. Technically, the government's the one paying for your free food stamps. So they get to decide what you can and can't buy with it. And it's the funny part about, when black women try to put this narrative of, oh, I'm independent. But then when you look at their life situation, they got welfare, food stamps, WIC, whatever they're using. And I'm like, you're very dependent. You're just not dependent on a husband. You're not dependent on a boyfriend. You're not dependent on your father of your child. You're dependent on the government. That's not independent to me. It's not. And this is the kind of buy-in. This is kind of the narratives that the black community kind of tells itself, but I think it's due to the fact that left-wing ideology has corrupted our culture. Honestly, that's what I believe. When I see figures like Sexy Red, oh my God, I can't stand the sight of that woman. Reminds me of everything that I left behind in my hood. I don't want to see that. She don't represent me. She don't represent the women in my family. But that's who y'all put as who young girls should look up to. Because at the end of the day, that's the incentive. Whoever the media puts out, whoever the media gives fame to, is who the media say you should aspire to be. And this has been arguments that's been going on in the black community for a long time. And this is why I laugh at these fake pro-blacks. That's why I call people who are pro-Democrat, fake pro-blacks, because they're not fake, they're not real pro-blacks. Because if I know how to tailor my arguments to the pro-black initiative. Okay, pro-black, is it pro-black to have your women abort your kids disproportionately compared to other races of women? Black women, what? They're responsible for 40% of abortions done in the country. And last time I checked, the black Democrat will tell you that disproportional outcomes prove racism and discrimination. So is abortion racism? Because only 30% of the population, but they're responsible for 40% of abortions? Abortion is not racist? And these are the arguments that black Democrats have a hard time confronting. Instead, they make excuses why you continuously voting for this party. Black people have been voting Democrat for 60 plus years. And Democrats been using and abusing the black vote, right? And now you got people complaining about the black vote being used and abused. But it's almost too late. I count like what? You got maybe 10 more years before the Hispanics take over, really, electoral, like they become the second largest population in America.
Us into believing that the white man was the cure to our own issues.
Okay.
They tricked us. And then now look at us, Stephen A. They don't have to bid for our vote. They got our vote hook, line, and sinker.
Well,
so they're
part.
never going to do nothing for us. And when you look at it, they have just secured our vote, and they don't have to do nothing for us. And this is what we've created, Stephen A. We've created an environment where we don't benefit from none of it because the Democrats don't have to work because they know I already got us. The Republicans have to work because they can win without us.
I've been saying that.
Black women voted at 90-some% for Democrats. Stephen A. Donald Trump won in a landslide. You give it 2 more election cycles. Illegal aliens and Hispanics are going to be the majority minority. Therefore, black people can vote 100% for Democrats, and they're not going to have any leverage in the political environment. And I'll tell you this, the Democrats, look at their platform. They want women to have abortions. They don't support a marriage. They don't support God and things the way the Republicans do. What does that do to the inner city black communities or black communities in general? We're not getting married. Baby.
And this is the trade that black women made, right? This is the trade that y'all made. And this is what I'm talking about, how like y'all not independent, y'all dependent on Democrats, right? And since y'all so dependent on Democrats, this is why Democrats can use and abuse your vote, because they know you're just gonna keep voting for them, right? Because you don't have any ability to, or any willingness, I should put it like this: you don't have any willingness to support the Republican Party. And when black people, when you get to certain few black people, the 12% I like to call myself, that is willing to vote Democrat, vote Republican, you guys get mad at us and call us names and coons. And then the white liberal play along with that game and saying, "Oh, you're not really black because you vote Republican, and you don't get to decide my blackness. Black people can't even decide my blackness. I was born this way. Get out of my face. You didn't give birth to me, all right? You didn't design me. Like you don't have no right to say I'm black or not." And this is the little policing that black people do within its own culture. And this is what I stand wholeheartedly against. Because at the end of the day, if you can't protect the right of the most vulnerable person, aka an individual, I'm an individual black man. As an individual black man, I am allowed to choose and decide who I vote for, who I support, and what policies that I think is in my own best interest. No one, I don't care if you share the same skin color as me, you have a different skin color as me, can tell me what's in my own best interest. Only I can decide that. Only I can know that. And that's the arrogance of the liberal.
Don't support a marriage. They don't support God and things the way the Republicans do. What does that do to the inner city black communities or black communities in general? We're not getting married. Baby daddy, baby mama drama out of control. We have an abortion more than anybody else. Obesity is out of control in the black community, which is one of the biggest plagues in the black community and the leading cause of death, which is hypertension and heart disease. What has the Democrats done about it? Nothing. The Republicans with RFK is saying we need to make sure we have better foods. We need to make sure the SNAP program on prioritizing soda to our young people, which a lot of black people are on a SNAP program. That's the difference in policy position.
Yeah. You be self-reliant instead of being self-dependent, right? You're dependent on a party to do everything in under the sun for you. And then you're mad you have no power. You can't stand on your own. You need special programs. You need special business loans catered specifically to black businesses to succeed. Make it make sense. You can't stand on an equal playing field because those skills weren't developed. And why would a political party be incentivized to help you rise up in a position where you can dictate the rules? Democrats are not trying to put you in a position where you can have more leverage. That's what families are for. That's what the family institutions are for. When you run in a family, you have your own interests separate from the Democratic Party. And these are the incentive structure that's created the environment that we're currently in. And illegals coming into this country, I'm sorry, it hurts that. They take out of the system, right? And that's less for these people who are dependent on them. So even from the case that many people say, hey, a lot of black people benefit from social programs that the government make, illegals take from that. They make the pot slower. They dilute the benefits even more by allowing them to come into this country unfettered. Yet you're still supporting the Democratic Party who's allowing this to happen. Make it make sense. I point out how these policies hurt the black community. And instead of making a change, you still vote for the same thing. And then once they get to a position where like Brandon Tatum warned that they're the second largest population in America and that you can vote 100% for the Democratic Party and still lose the election, because if the Hispanic votes start going towards Republicans, and there's a trend signifying that if the Republicans win the Hispanic vote the same way that the Democrats win the black vote, Republicans will win the election forever. And Hispanics, unlike the black community, they're more willing, they're more politically diverse, I'll put it that way, than the black community. The black community is more politically dogmatic. And that's the reality of politics. That's what Republicans, they like at this point, the Republicans are in a place where it may not even matter if black people come around to our side or not. And that's the reality that I'm seeing too. That's why I said I only need really 20% of black people to see things my way. I only need 20%. I don't need 60, I don't need 80. I only need 20%. That's it. That's all the black people I need. I just need 20%. Because I don't see myself as just a racial group. That's just one aspect of my identity. But my loyalty is to the United States of America. And I want this country to be the best place ever, because that means more opportunities for me, my family, more opportunities for me to gain more power, more leverage, more money, more wealth, whatever. So I can stand on my own. My family can benefit from this economy, from this country, because that's the tie that binds all of us, that we want this country to be the best place ever. And we can't do things that makes it harder for it to be the best thing ever. And a lot of times what Democrats do, they do things that hurts this country, which is allow mass immigration into the country. And this should be Black America's biggest issue, honestly, in my opinion. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts, your perspectives. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.